On top of the money press, we can generate income by selling calls against stock that we own or other call options that we own. There's a few tricks to this that Preston walks through in this video that I think is really going to help you out to generate some extra income.
We're in Netflix here with a call spread. We are long next July's. So in 2023, we bought the July 250 calls, which we're up on, and we're just trying to have those give us that upside. You know, when Netflix puts in a couple 3 days like that, those underlying calls just explode. And guess what happens? It had made a little relative high here, and it's backing off. This is what happens. I mean, stocks do it. They pull back. And so it really helped us. We had sold the 295 calls that expire today. And like I said in one of the updates, Netflix for a couple days was hitting its head on 310. And, you know, it's best a lot of times to just let the week unfold, knowing that there's going to be hot days in the market, overall wide, market wide, and sell-off days in the market. And then for individual stocks, you know, this is kind of what they do. They do this ebb and flow. They get excited, buyers come in, it fades off. And I bought these back yesterday, the 295 calls, but if you didn't, and you're just sitting there, I mean, those 295 calls, I mean, we got a hella premium in for those. And we collect all of that as we come into Friday, like right now. Now, all that said, would I be in a hurry personally to sell next week's calls? And for me, right here, right now, first of all, when I sell out of the money calls, I like doing it on strength in the stock. So I think what's happening here is we slide on into Friday. You collect now that entire, if we're talking about right now, anything can happen during the balance of the day, but it looks like Netflix is going to finish below that 295, which means all of that 295 premium you sold is 100% yours. And to perhaps not be in a hurry to hurry and sell next week's calls. Let's watch and see why, because it was hot here and then we've sold off. So it's weaker. I like to sell on strength, which means personally, I'm not in a hurry to sell Netflix calls for next week. I want to wait. I want to see if it's going to do some more profit taking here. I want to wait for the buyers to come back in and take Netflix up into strength and then sell out of the money calls on that. So that might not happen today. It might not happen on Monday, Tuesday, but maybe next Wednesday or whatever, or the shortened day on Friday, maybe Netflix gets that bid again. And then at that point, I'll look at selling a whole week of premium after this holiday, next week's holiday shortened week, and then taking another big round of premium on Netflix. But the whole idea on Netflix is those July 250 calls and having them appreciate, and then selling weeklies from time to time as little cherry on tops. Wonder if you wanted to add anything to that, Mike.
No, just so people understand why would you sell in this strength? One of the reasons is you're looking for a pullback after the move. Plus the premiums are fatter once you sell that call. And that's what we're trying to take advantage of, especially with weeklies.
Right. And on the calendar call spread, you know, money press is, oh my gosh, we really need to have we're really trying to sell those weekly premiums week after week after week. That's the essence of the trade. On a call calendar spread, we position that way because one of the reasons we position that way is because Netflix from the 700s, the bear just clawed and destroyed Netflix. It had one of the worst years ever. And we're sitting here saying, and it had a demise, by the way. So we have a Sunrise Demise setup in Netflix, which is really something else. All to say that they took their licks, they took their wins, literally had the worst year stock performance wise in the history of the company. And it's like, this is still Netflix, right? And the answer is yes. And it forced them to, are they still growing subscribers? Oh yeah. Yeah, they're still growing. So we're taking advantage of, and they put in the ads. They have a whole new thing. They were able to hire away some top people from other firms. All to say, Netflix is coming back. And because they took such a hit, there can be some explosive days of upside, which we're starting to see. So I just want call exposure on it. And that's the main reason for the season for the trade in Netflix, not the weekly stuff. But the weekly stuff can happen, and it's going to happen for me once we see strength in the stock, and then I'm going to sell the weekly. So it's not as weekly focused. It's more of, I want exposure to Netflix after such a bugaboo year that it had. And that's it. And it's not right or wrong, it just is. That's what we're doing on Netflix. And I'm just here to say that I'm not selling weekly calls on it. It doesn't mean there's a problem with Netflix. It just means it's having a little profit taking. Big whoop. That's what stocks do. So I'm just a little more patient on Netflix. It's a slightly different focus on Netflix. So, and I love that it's peeled back and allowing us to keep that whole premium. I mean, imagine we're actually voting and hoping a stock has some weakness. Okay, switching gears. Nike. It's even right now. Man, this is another Sunrise Demise. And by the way, in bear markets, this is one of my favorite go-to setups. It's the Sunrise Demise setup. And you know the bear markets are bad when it's the likes of Netflix and Nike that actually qualify for Sunrise Demise setups. Rarely do companies like this, stocks like this, offer a Sunrise Demise. But a bear can do it. A bear, it can do it. And when the name is a Nike or Netflix, I'm that much more sitting up in my chair interested. That said, man, Nike just blew higher. I mean, the Sunrise Demise thing is already in. I mean, there's the demise. It's sunrised a few days later. But this took a lot of stocks up that last week that we had. And Nike was one of them. And it just blew up past our money press. But this midweek, this week, so I decided not to roll. I thought, man, what goes up probably is going to have some profit taking. But as it turns out, earlier this week, I went in like I updated you and I sold the 105 puts. It was a $1.15 premium that we took in. And with the stock, with Nike here at 105 and change, this is one where I want to watch and see and let the balance of today like wear off, because you know there's still about 30 cents a premium in these 105 puts, and they're out of the money. They should be worth zero, but the reason that they're worth 30 cents is because there's still time left in today. So I want to let that time burn off. But all to say, looks like, man, I covered that ground. We've had that little profit taking here. I mean, do I want to stick with Nike? Oh, yeah. And when we sell next week's later on today, it's not going to look like a whole lot of premium. Why? Because we're in a holiday shortened week next week. But it looks like it's had some time to digest. That was a big week for Nike. I mean, to move up $10 in 1 week. Wow. And also I'll look to move up our protection. Our protections now, it's the January 85 puts. I'm going to be really re-looking at that and maybe going out more in time, but we'll just see what's available. But I'm going to look to move those up probably at least to the 90 puts and just stick with the Nike money press. It looks really solid, really in our favor here. I'm really liking the Nike money press.